Hello and welcome to this course. My name is Daniel and I'm gonna be your instructor during this course. Shortly about me, I studied business computing in Berlin, Germany, and since I graduated a few years ago, I am a software developer and still living in Berlin. Now let me quickly break down for you what you are about to learn in this course. I would like to teach you something about React. React is a JavaScript framework. And if you aren't familiar with frameworks, you can think of a framework something like a helpful system which provides you with some basic functionalities so you can concentrate on the core thing, which is developing. I will show you how to get started with React, how you can set up your very first project in React, how to install and use Tailwind CSS, which is, so to say, nothing else but a quicker and easier way to use CSS. And I will also show you how to create your very first React components. Then we will come to section 2, which is start building a React webshop. In this course, we will want to create the foundation for a React webshop. That means basic functionality like how to create a product overview page, and along with that, how to create a product's detail page. I will show you how to leverage AI for your software developing so you can build your results as fast as possible. I will show you how to create multiple pages and how to build a dynamic page routing system. And in this section, I will also explain to you the use state concept, which is probably the most important concept which there is in React. Then we will go further to section 3, which is how to create a model dialog. I think every page needs some kind of model dialogues, maybe for the login, maybe for a simple alert. It's always good to know how to create a model dialog. I will also explain to you how to handle input forms, because the model dialog will likely have some kind of form, some kind of input form where you type in various information and which you want to submit. I will also explain to you how to use state variables globally, so you can use them across all different components and pages. And then we will go to the fourth section where I will show you how to save a shopping cart. So you can actually add products to your cart on the products detail page, how to save the cart products in a use state variable, and how to add the shopping cart icon to the navbar so you can quickly navigate to a cart page, which we will discuss in this section 5. We will create a cart page. I will explain to you how to use effect, which is another React concept, very important if you want to perform an action or a piece of code only when a variable updates or only when you initially enter the page for the first time. And then I will show you how to add some functionality to the cart page. For example, remove the product from the cart or increase or decrease the quantity. The topics in this course will teach you the basics of React development and therefore front-end basics. You will also learn something about JavaScript if you aren't familiar with it yet. And in this course, you will especially learn the foundations for how to create a web shop from scratch. This course is appropriate for beginners, total beginners. Also, when you never coded before, if you have no experience about CSS or JavaScript, I believe you can still follow along in this course, because I myself, when I started to learn coding, had no idea what the instructor of the videos I watched did there exactly, but I just followed along. I did the same thing as him, and suddenly with time the dots connect in your brain and you understand the concepts. You don't have to understand everything from the beginning. As long as you follow along, you can successfully complete this course and the dots will connect with time. But this course also fits for intermediates who maybe already know something about JavaScript. And this course also fits for experts in other programming languages. Maybe you already used another framework, maybe also of JavaScript. You can still learn a ton from this course. With that being said, I wish you much fun with the course. Feel free to use the speed function of the videos. Some of you may like to watch the videos in a faster pace, like me. And if you have any questions or problems, please drop a comment. I will happily assist you with your questions. Okay, let's say you would like to create a simple React app. You would go ahead and open up a new folder first, and you can call this, for example, simple Webshop. And then you would open up your Visual Studio Code or whatever development environment you use. And then you open up this folder here. And then you have it open here, and you can go to terminal and click new terminal. Then a new terminal opens up in this folder. So now you type in npx create-react-app at latest. And then you also type in a dot because you're already in the folder. If you wouldn't be in the folder, you would have to type in the folder name here. But since we are already in the folder, you can just type in dot. And then here installs this. This takes up 1 or 2 minutes, and then we should be good to go. By the way, the command we used, npx create react app, is a Node.js command. If you shouldn't have Node.js installed, you just open up Google and type in Node.js. Open up the first link. Download here the latest version of Node.js and simply install it. Maybe you have to restart your Visual Studio Code, but then you should be good to go. And now he should be finished. You can see, yeah, he's finished now. You can see he created a bunch of folders and files. And this is our basic React app. And now we can start the React server or the React client by typing in npm start. And then he will open up our app in our browser. Let's see what he created. So you can see he opens up the client on localhost 3000. And we immediately get an error, but this shouldn't be a problem. He simply can't find Web Vitals. You can simply go into the index.js, and there we will remove this report Web Vitals down here and also remove the import. And then our React app works and has this logo here, which we will remove now. So you go in the app.js and you can remove all this in here. You can simply create an h1 tag and type in hello world. You can also remove this import from the logo here. You can remove this app test.js file. You can remove the logo itself. You can remove report web vitals since we don't use it anyways. You can remove setup tests. You can also remove everything in here in the index CSS. And yeah, that's it so far. So what if you want to style this hello world now? Let's say you want to make it like red. Then the basic way to do it would be to use vanilla CSS. So we already have imported here this app.css, and we can go into the app.css, remove all this in here. And then we can say, we can create a new CSS class and say, we call it, let's call it turn green. And then we say color green. And now you want to use the CSS class here, so you would go to the h1 tag and type in class name, and then the class turn green, and the text turns green. And if we would change this here to red, the text would turn red. So we don't want to use vanilla CSS because there's also a better way to use CSS. We want to use Tailwind CSS. Tailwind CSS is simply a Node.js library, and we first of all want to install it. So I go here on installation, and you simply have to follow these 1, 2, 3 steps, and then you have installed Tailwind CSS. So first of all, you close the client. You can close the client by using Control C, then the client will close. Maybe you have to press Control C multiple times, but then the client will close, and this is not reachable anymore here. So then you can first of all copy this command and type it in here. Then he will install the Tailwind CSS package. And after this is installed, you can use this npx tailwind css init command. And then he will create a Tailwind config.js here. Then you go inside this Tailwind config.js and you simply copy all this here and replace this. And here are listed the files which will support Tailwind CSS. We will also add here JSX because we will use JSX files. And we will save this. Make sure you have autosave enabled here, so you will automatically save all your files. Great. Then the third step, you copy all this here and simply put this in the index CSS. And then Tailwind is installed. You can close all these files. You can remove the app.css because we will not use it anymore. You can remove this turn green class here and start the server again. There we go. Our app is open. We still have our hello world, but it isn't styled anymore. Now, if we want to, let's say, make this hello world here bigger, you can directly in this class name type in, for example, text -xl, and that word will turn XL. If you want to have it even bigger, you can use 3XL, for example. If you would like to add additional CSS commands, you can, for example, turn it green. Then you type in text -green -400 for the opacity. And then we have a light green. And if we would like to have a dark green, we use 800. And if you would like to use red, we can also use red. Yeah, and this is how Tailwind CSS works. The commands are a little bit different from vanilla CSS, but you can look every command up. You simply type in Tailwind CSS and look into the documentation and see, for example, I always, if I want to use anything I know from vanilla CSS, I simply, oh yeah, here you have all these styles. So if you are on the Tailwind CSS website, you can simply look here on the left, and here you have all types of CSS commands. And here, for example, you have text color. You open this up and you can see which commands you can use to color your text. So now we would like to create a simple web shop. So I would like to create a navbar from our web shop firstly. And for this, we will leverage ChatGPT. I will open up a new ChatGPT chat, and I would like to use ChatGPT 4. Or will we use 4? Oh, okay, we will use 4 because maybe you don't have the paid version. So I will use ChatGPT 4. We will type in hello ChatGPT. Please create a simple navbar for my React. And he creates this for us, and I can immediately see that he uses the library React Router DOM. You will see, and he also creates a lot of styles in here. I don't like the way he approaches this all, so I will have to specify my prompt more. So I will say, please omit React Router DOM for the beginning, and also please use Tailwind CSS. So you have to tell ChatGPT exactly what you want from him, and then he will give it to you. So now he created a simple navbar, no React Router DOM, and he uses Tailwind CSS, which fits our use case perfectly. Let's see what he created in the second step. Okay, so he says, first of all, create this navbar component. This we will do. We will copy all this. We will create a new components folder in our source directory. We will create a new file, which is our navbar component, navbar.jsx. And in here, we will paste in all the code ChatGPT gave us. Then we have to use this navbar. ChatGPT also tells us this. We will replace our h1 hello world with div. And inside this div, we will import our navbar. Here we have imported our navbar, and then when we look up our app, we can see we have a navbar here. And yeah, of course, when we click on about or contact or home, nothing happens because the href, so the link he brings us to, is just a route. But if we would say /about here and click on about, then he would navigate us to an about page. And if we would change this to /contact, he would navigate us to contact. So now that we created our navbar, I will open up the app here again, because for me it's already the next day. So we have our navbar, and nothing happens when we click on the links. Now we want to actually create multiple pages so we can navigate through them and show just different pages with different information. For that, I will open up ChatGPT again, and I will open up our last chat. And here I will say now, please create, we want to create a simple web shop. So we now want a products overview page. So we tell ChatGPT to please create a products overview page with mock data. Certainly, I will create a simple product overview page for your React application using Tailwind CSS. That's great. So here's the mock data, a simple array of objects with some sample data. And here's our product overview component. And yeah, for us, this is actually a page. So we will create a new folder, pages. And in here, we will create a new file, product overview.jsx. And in here, we can copy all this code from ChatGPT and paste this in here. So we also need the mock data. For that, ChatGPT told us to create the file named mockdata.js. I will do this. I will just create, or I will remove the import here and simply put the mock data directly into this page here. And you can just collapse this so and it doesn't bother you. And then we of course have to use this products overview page somewhere. For that, we could, for example, instead of showing about, we could, okay, this is our navbar, we could, well, let's do it like this. We want to show our products overview on the home page. So directly when we come on the web shop, we want to see all products that are available. For that, we need to go into our app.js. And here we immediately show the navbar. Okay, let's say we include here our products overview. You see I imported this. And now if we go on our site and go to homepage here, we see our products overview with our mock data. Of course, here are no pictures yet, but we can fix this in a minute. And in a second, I will show you how to create a products detail page. So you can click on each item and get redirected to a products detail page. This way I can show you how to navigate between pages. But firstly, I want to show you that you can ask ChatGPT for every kind of features. So for example, I immediately see that this page looks quite boring because when I hover over the items, nothing happens. I want them to move a little or zoom in a little when I hover over each item. And I will request this feature from ChatGPT. When I hover over each item of the products overview page, I would like to see a little animation. Do you got something like that for me, please? Let's see what he gives us. So he tells us to update our products overview component. Okay, no problem. If you're just starting out and you just created the component and there is no big changes or something, you can simply copy all this and paste this in again. But we already made some changes. For example, we don't import the mock data. we inserted it directly into the component. So we shouldn't copy just all the component. Instead, we should see what he actually changed. For this, you can go down here to the explanation, and here he tells us he added transition, duration 300, ease in out, and transform hover. And let's see where he did this. And he did this here in this div of the product. And here we can simply copy all this and insert it here in the same place. And now if we go on our page, we can see when we hover over each item, we see a nice zoom in and out. Okay, now we would like to create a product's detail page so we can click on each item. For this, we will simply again ask ChatGPT. Of course, I can do this all by myself and we can figure this out by ourselves. And when you're a beginner, this is surely a good idea to do everything by yourself. But when you're an intermediate developer, you don't want to recreate all pages by yourself because it takes way too much time. And anyway, if you let this create ChatGPT and you are a beginner, you can still ask ChatGPT for explanation for every component. If you don't understand anything in here, you can simply ask ChatGPT. Okay. So let's ask ChatGPT for a products detail page. Please create a products detail page for me. So he again creates some mock data. Let's see. And now he creates the product detail page. He tells us to create the products detail JSX component. For us, this is again a page. So we will create a new page, which is called product detail.jsx. And in here, we will simply copy all this and paste this in here. So here at the top, he tries to find the according product in the product's mock data. Because we don't have our mock data in a separate file, he can't access this products here in our file because we have all our mock data inside our products overview page. So it was indeed a good idea of ChatGPT to put the mock data into a separate file. So I will too create a separate file in the source directory and call it mockdata.js. And in here, you can again copy all the mock data and paste this in here. And down here, he exports the mock data. And now we can import this. And we will import this in our products overview page, import products from mock data. Let's see, he can't find mock data because we are in subfolder pages. So we have to add a dot here. So he is then in the source directory and now he can find the mock data, and the same goes for the products detail page. Simply also paste this in here. And let's see. For us to reach the products detail page, we of course have to create some kind of navigation. Let's see what ChatGPT told us about this routing. Okay. You will need to set up routing to navigate to this product detail page. You can do this using React Router DOM by setting up a route. Okay, React Router DOM is a npm package. So we want to install this package, and we do this by closing our client, by pressing Ctrl and C, and pressing this again or pressing Y, and then it is closed. And now we can type in npm install or simply npm e react-router-dom, and this package will be installed in our project. So you can always clear the console with CLS or clear, I think, yeah. And now he tells us to set up a route like this. Now he tells us to use or to insert a new route for our products detail page. And let's say I'm a beginner and I don't know how to do this. I can simply ask ChatGPT. I don't know React Router DOM. I installed it, but I don't know how to properly set up new routes in my project. Please help me with. And let's see if ChatGPT can help us. So, sure, I can help you set up routing in your React project using React Router DOM. Here's a step-by-step guide on how to do this. Import necessary components from React Router DOM. Okay, set up your router in the main app component. You will wrap your application's component structure within a browser router component. This acts as the foundational routing context for your app. This I will show you in a second. And third, define routes using route components. So let's see. Here you can see he is in the app.js. Okay, this looks similar to this. Okay. So at the first step, he tells us to import necessary components from React Router DOM. First, you need to import browser router, route, and switch from React Router DOM. These components are essential for setting up routing. Okay, this we can do. And down here you can see he actually did this in the app component. So I will just copy the imports and also paste them in the app component. Then the second step, set up your routes in the main app component. You will wrap your application's component structure. This is these two components we already inserted within the browser router component. This acts as the foundational routing context for your app. Okay, let's see how he did this. Okay, he created a router. You can see browser router is called router in our import. So he used this router here, and in here he set up the routes. So you can also see he uses a navbar here, and between the navbar and the other components there's a switch. So firstly we will insert this router here. And the closing tag. By the way, you can see when this is unformatted and I then press Ctrl S to save my file, you can see that it neatly gets formatted for me. This you can also do by installing, what is it called? Prettier. Okay, this is an extension here on VS Code. You can install extensions, and you definitely should install Prettier, the code formatter, because this makes your code way cleaner. Okay. Now we have inserted this router, and the next step, you can see he has this div, then the navbar, then a switch. Okay, so we will also create a switch under the navbar, and then he has its route. So we will insert also a route. This is the main page, and on the main page, he shows the component homepage. Okay, we don't have a homepage, we have our products overview page. So let's insert this here and let's see if this works. We go on the main page, and okay, we have to start our client again. So we get an error, export switch, imported as switch was not found in React Router DOM. Okay, let's see. If you get an error like this, I think this error is caused because switch is deprecated and not used anymore in React Router DOM, but you can simply ask ChatGPT for this also. You can also simply copy this error and say, I got an error. It seems like you are using a more recent version of React Router DOM, where the switch component has been replaced by routes. Okay, you can see ChatGPT also has its flaws. It gave us instructions for an older version of React Router DOM, but simply give him your errors and he should recognize those issues and give you new instructions. So here you can see he don't use a switch anymore. Let's see what he told us. Updating router setup with React Router DOM version 6. You want to know which React Router DOM version you use, you can simply go into your package.json and look this up. React Router DOM version 7. Okay, we're on version 7. The instructions for version 6 should also be fine. And here he tells us update imports and components, replace switch with routes and route components. Usage also changes. Modify your app component. Here's how you should update your app component. Okay, let's see. He changed the import. He replaced switch with routes. This we will do. And down here also, he replaced switch with routes. And this should be all changes. Here again, he tells us the key changes. Route component changes. In version 6, you use element component. Okay, so instead of component, you have to put in here element, right? Yeah, he also does this. And here you actually have to use the component like this. Let's see. Firstly, let's look if our recent changes helped. And now if we reload and on our main page, you can see indeed we get shown our products overview page. If I would replace this now with an, let's say, h1 tag and type in hello world here, you can see that I get shown this, and we'll replace this with our products overview page. And if I now want to create a second route, you can simply copy this, and you can see when I go on the about page, I'm on the about page, and you can insert here also the about route and replace this with h1 about page. Then we get shown our about page, and when we navigate to home, let's see. Okay, we have to manually go to home. Then we get shown our products overview page. Okay, so we still don't have our products detail page yet. At least we can't access it, but we at least know now how to use routes. And now you can create all your routes, all the routes you need. And yeah, You can, for example, also create your contact page, all this contact page, and visit the contact route, you can see contact page. And in the next step, I will actually show you how to create a products overview page. So when you are on the home page here, on the products overview page, you can click on each item and go to their products detail page. Okay, now we would like to actually achieve that when we click on one of these products that we actually get redirected to the products page. For that, we will go in our product overview page. And here inside the map function, we render out every of these elements. If you don't know what a map function does, it takes all objects of an array and does the thing which is inside the map function for every one of the objects inside the array. And the array comes from our mock data. If we go into our mock data.js, we can see this is an array. You can see this on the brackets here. And this is the first object. This is the second object. This is the third object. And what the map function does is it performs or it renders out this div and all these elements in here for every of the products inside. So we want to make every of these products here clickable. So we have to wrap every product inside a link tag. So now this div is wrapped into a link tag, and here in the link tag, which is an object from React Router DOM, please make sure you have link imported from React Router DOM. What this does is it redirects you to a different page. And you can specify the page where you want to go by adding a to tag here. And we want to redirect the user to the product page. And yeah, if we would leave it like that, you can see that when I click, I get redirected to the product page. And same goes for every other item. Now we would like to show a different page for each product. So we also have to add a product ID here, like 1. Okay, so we click on the first one, we go on product 1, and same happens for the second product. But we want to redirect to a specific product page of the product. So we have to insert the product ID here. This we can do by using the product ID, which comes from the mock data. Okay, every product in here has an ID, and on this page we would like to redirect the user. So we simply can add here at the end product.id. You have to wrap this inside brackets because this way code here will get recognized as JSX code. And then when we click on the first item, we go on page 1, and the second item redirects us to the product page of product 2. Okay, now that we have done this, we want to actually show the specific product page for each product. For that, we have to specify a new route. You remember our routes are in the app.js. Here we can specify a new route, exactly like the other ones, which we call /product. And we will render out the element product details, product detail, and make sure to import the product detail page. So let's first simply render out an h1 tag to make things easier. Reload the page. So now you see nothing because we are on product 1. If I would go only on product, I would see product page. But if I'm on product 1, I see nothing. If I would specify 1 here, it would match the route. But if I would add 2 here, it wouldn't match the route. It would just match the route 2. We would like to match all routes. And for all routes, we would like to show this element in here. This we do by typing in a colon here and specifying an ID. You can call this whatever you want. I will call it product ID. And then no matter if we are on page 2 or 5 or 1, we get shown this product page. So instead of this h1 tag, we would like to show a product detail page. And then we get an error because we can't find the product with the ID 5. Okay, let's look inside our mock data. We have product ID 1, 2, 3, and 4. We have no 5. If I go on, so let's first go on product 1. We have no error yet, but we also don't see any product details. So you can remove these first 2 lines here. And now we would like to access this product ID here. You can also remove this match here. You can access the product ID by using use params. Use params is a method from React Router DOM. For that, you simply define a new constant, which you can also call whatever you want. I will call it product ID. And you actually have to wrap this inside brackets. And then you get this product ID by using use params. Make sure to import this from React Router DOM. And then we accessed the product ID. Now we have the product ID. You can also console log it out on the console. You can open the console by clicking right click and inspect, and then go on the console. And okay, let's reload the page again. Oh, you can see we are on product page 1, and if I would open product page 2, we get the 2 back here. So now the only thing we have to do is to actually access the product with the ID 2. And this we can do by specifying a new constant product and then access the array products where all our products are in and say find, and then find the product where the p.id equals product ID, like this. And let's use the toString here to make sure we actually compare strings with each other. Let's see, expected an assignment or function call and instead saw an expression. Okay, you actually have to put this in normal brackets. And there we go. We have a products detail page like this. So we now see the leather wallet if we are on product page 2. And if we would click on, let's say, the sports watch, we get the details for the sport watch. Because down here, he renders out all the details for the specific product which we retrieved here from the products array. Now I would like to make 2 small changes. First of all, I would like to make this image a little bit smaller because it appears way too big now. This we can simply do by not making the div take half of the page. Instead, it should just take 1/3 of the page, and then the image is way smaller. And secondly, I would like to actually get redirected when I click home here, because currently I get redirected nowhere. And this we can do in the navbar, and here this href should be replaced with only a slash to get on the main page. And now we get redirected. So soon I would like to implement a shopping cart into the webshop, because we already have a product overview, we have a navbar, we can click on each product and have a product details page. And what now is missing here is an add to cart button. And I would like to have a cart icon here in the navbar in the right corner. And I would like to see a small number of how many items we have in our cart currently. And I also would like to later be able to click on the cart and get redirected to a cart page. For that, we of course need to have some kind of state handling. So I would like to introduce useState to you. useState is a React concept which allows you to store values or variables across re-renderings. So even if a component re-renders, the state keeps its value. I would like to illustrate this to you by a simple example. For that, I will create a new component, which I will call counter.jsx. You don't have to implement this yourself now, just follow me along. So I will create this component and I will include this under the navbar so we can see what's going on. We have our counter here, and now I will create a useState variable. This is done the following. We have a new const which takes 2 parameters in an array. At first, the name of the variable, for example, count. And the second parameter is a function which can set the count. So you typically name this set and then the name of the variable. Equals useState. Now we have to import useState from React. You can see useState was imported from React. And here in parentheses, we can give count an initial value. For count, I will set an initial value of null here. This can also be a string, null, any integer, an object, everything. But I will simply take the integer null here. Now we can print this count out here. Now we can see the count is 0. If I would set this to 5 here, you would see also when I reload the page, the initial value is 5. I will set this to 0. And now what we would like to do is add a button, which is called click me. And one thing you have to remember in React, when you now get this arrow JSX expressions must have one parent element, is that under this return, there has to be one main element. So either one div, which is like the main div, or you can, if you don't want to use a div, you could also use an empty tag. Okay, now we have this button click me and nothing happens when I click on it. So we will add here an onClick handler. And this onClick handler should execute a function which I'm going to create now. This function I will call onClick handler, or maybe button click handler. And this I will insert here. So this gets executed whenever I click on click me. Here I would like to set the value of count. I would like to increase it. And what you would typically do is set count just like this. 1, 2, or add 1 to the current value of count. But you can't use state variables like this, because typically you would update a variable like this. But this is not how you handle use state variables in React, because use state variables are supposed to trigger a re-render. Because when I now click on the button, okay, first of all, use states are constant variables anyways, you can't mutate them, only with the set count function. And even if you could set this variable like this, you would maybe set the variable and increase the number, but you wouldn't see this change because no re-rendering was triggered. So what we would like to do instead is to use the set count function. So we would use set count, get the current value count plus 1. And then when we click on click me, a re-rendering immediately was triggered, but only for the counter component. So only for the navbar won't get re-rendered, the products overview page won't get re-rendered, just the counter. And this is the big advantage of React. We don't re-render the whole page all the time. We just re-render the component which is currently changed. Another thing you should know is that the count variable actually just gets updated after the re-rendering. So inside this whole function, the count variable will still be null when I click the first time on the button. So even after the set count was called, count is still null. And if I would set another count here, which does the same, count plus 1, count is still null here. So it would again just set count to 1. That's why when I got this function like this and I click on the button, it still just gets incremented by 1. Because the actual update of the count state gets only executed after the re-rendering. This is called asynchronous updating. So remember, the state doesn't get immediately updated. It only gets updated after the re-rendering. So now that you know the concept of useState, I can remove the counter again. And we can continue by saving some variables in our webshop. Let's say we would like to know who is shopping in our webshop currently. For that, I would like to show a modal dialog when someone enters our webshop. Let's ask ChatGPT for this, how to create a modal dialog. How can I create a modal dialog in my React application? I would like the modal to have one input field where the user can input his name. The dialog should also have a submit button. Let's see. So ChatGPT tells us to create the modal component first. Let's do this. I will put ChatGPT here aside, and we will start by creating a new component in our components folder, which we can call modal.jsx. So let's see, he created a new modal. Okay, he uses styles which are not Tailwind CSS. I don't want to use this kind of styles. I would like to use Tailwind CSS. So please recreate the model using Tailwind CSS. And we don't have to do this all by ourselves. So here's the model now with Tailwind CSS. So we will just copy the whole model here and insert this in our new component like this. And now let's see. Now we would like to show the model in our app. So immediately when someone enters our page, we would like to show the model. I will put this white hour under navbar. Model. You have to make sure to import the model. He doesn't suggest me the import, so I have to import this by myself. Import model from components / model. So see, he still doesn't know. Export default imported as model was not found. We have to make sure that the model actually gets exported. You can do this by typing in export default in front of this function model here. And then we will go in our page and let's see. Let's reload the page. Okay, nothing happens. Let's see why. We show our model here. Look inside our model. Okay, our model takes two parameters, is open and on close. And by default, is open will likely be null. So we can pass the is open parameter to our model. And then we get shown our model here. Enter your name and submit, exactly like we requested it from ChatGPT. So currently our model gets shown, but we still have some issues here. For example, when we click in the background, our clicks still get propagated to the background, and we don't want that. We don't want the user to be able to use the background as long as the model is shown. And also when the page is a little bit smaller, our model gets shown in the background of the product overview page. Both these issues we can simply fix by adding a Z-50 here. So the model will definitely get shown in the front of all other components. This Z-50 simply sets the Z index of the HTML element, and the Z index specifies the stack order of an element. And an element with a greater Z index is always in front of an element with a lower Z index. So we set the Z index or the stack order now to 50. This will likely be in front of all other elements. If I would set this to, let's say, -1, our model would definitely be in the background. But we will set the Z index now to 50. And then we cannot click in the background, and our model is in front of all other elements. And also, no matter how small our device is, our model is always in front of all other components. So now, when I type in the name here in our model and press submit, we get an alert from here, which says name submitted and the name we typed in. But when I click OK, we get an error because he doesn't know on close. He tries to call on close here in this handle submit function. And this handle submit function gets triggered when we submit the form. So the form consists of our input and our button. And when we click submit, the handle submit function gets executed, where we execute the alert and then the onClose. But he doesn't know what onClose is because we haven't passed the onClose function to the model element from the app.js component. So we can pass the onClose function here, equals, and then open a JSX expression. And first I will simply pass an empty function so nothing will happen. And now I can type in a name and submit this. The alert gets triggered, and when I press OK, nothing happens. He executed this empty function, but the model doesn't get closed. Now, how can we close this model? The model is still shown because in the app.js function we call this model and we always pass isOpenTrue. So we have to modify this true in here. For that we would like to use a useState variable. So we will create a new useState variable, const, and I will call this variable model open, and the function to modify this model open will be called setModelOpen equals useState. Now you have to import useState, and the initial value of our model open variable will be true, because initially when someone opens our site, we would like to show the model. And now instead of true here, we will pass our model open variable. Now when we reload the page, our model still gets shown. And if I would set this variable initially to false, our model won't get shown when we open the page. So now what we can do, we will set this to true again. And instead of passing an empty function, I will say in the onClose function, set model open to false, because when he submitted his name, I would like to close the model. And now I type in the name here, press submit, name submitted John, okay, and the model closes, exactly like we wanted to function. Amazing, you successfully created a functioning model. Let me quickly break down for you again how this all functions. So we jump into the code and let's see. We defined a useState variable model open, which is initially true. The model open state then gets passed to the model component, which we call here. We pass the model open state as isOpen parameter to the model. So technically we pass isOpenTrue to the model component. In the model component then, we receive the isOpen parameter here. If isOpen should be false, this is the same. If you type not isOpen, is the same as isOpen equals false. And if that should be the case, we would return null. But isOpen isn't false, isOpen is currently true. So we return our model. Our model consists of two divs and a form which consists of an input field where we type in our name and a submit button. If we type in something in the input field, the onChange handler gets triggered. And the onChange handler simply sets the name with the value we inserted into the text field. This we will get by eTarget.value. So with the value we typed in is saved in the name state, which is defined up here. When we then press submit by clicking on the button, the handle submit function gets triggered. Because the button is a submit button and the form says on submit, so when the form gets submitted, trigger the handle submit function. And this is up here. The handle submit function triggers the alert, which prints out the name state and calls the onClose function. The onClose function also gets passed here by the app.js component. And in the app.js component, we set that he should just set the model open state to false. So the model closes, because now when we call the model state, isOpen false gets passed to the model component. Well, what will we do now with the name we type in and submit? Let's say, for example, we would like to show the name here in the navbar and say something like, hello, John. The only problem with that is that currently we can only access the name state inside the model component. we couldn't, for example, show the name in the navbar because it is in another component. So how can we make the name state accessible in other components? To fix this, we instead have to save the name state in the app component instead. So we just take the definition of the name state out of the model component and paste it into the app component. Now, we still need to access the name state in the model component. For example, to show the alert or to set the name when we typed in something in the input field. For that, we have to pass the name state from the app component to the model component. And we do this exactly like we passed the isOpen or the onClose parameter to the model component, simply by specifying it here where we call the model component. Name equals name. And we also pass the setName function to be able to set the name inside the model component. And that's it. Now the model state can be used both in the model component as well as in the app component. You of course also have to accept the name state here and also the setName state. And then both can be used again in the model component. And the best thing is, from the app component now, we can pass the name state to all kinds of components. Your task is it now to pass and show the name in the navbar component. In the next lecture, I will show you the solution for that. So now I will show you how to actually save the task I gave you. So we want to show the name in the navbar, right here. First of all, we have to make the name accessible in the navbar. You already know how to do this. We pass the name state as parameter to the navbar right here where we call it. Name equals name, like that. And then we go inside the navbar. By the way, you can just click into the component by holding Control pressed and then just click in, and Visual Studio Code leads you to the navbar component. And right here we will also accept the parameter. And there we go. We can now use the name state inside the navbar component. To display the name state, I will create a span element down here. And we will say hello. And now the name. I used the name John Doe when I came on the page. And now when I reload the page and type in a different name here, like Gerald, and it says hello Gerald. By the way, I would like to make this text here now cursive, and you can do this by using the EM, which stands for emphasize tag, and then the text is like, I think in English it's called italic. And that's it. Now you know how to use state variables across many different components. So now that we know how to use your state variables across different components, we can go ahead and implement a shopping cart. I would like to allow our users to be able to click into each product and add the product to their shopping cart. In order to implement this, we will first add the button to our product detail page. And in the second step, we will add a cart icon to the navbar, which navigates us to our cart page where we will show the products which are currently inside our shopping cart. On the cart page then, we will add functionality like increase or decrease the quantity of our products, and also a button to remove the product from our cart. But first, let me show you how to replace these grayscale pictures here, because it is much more fun to work on a product which actually looks good and get some colors, trust me. So let's jump in our code and let's go into the products overview page. And here somewhere we got our image, and the source for our image we got from our mock data. And in our mock data, each product gets a image URL, which we can replace now with actual product photos. So I will open up Amazon. And let's see, our first product was a vintage camera. So I will actually also search for vintage camera. And let's see what looks good. For example, this one here, I will simply say copy image address and paste it in here. And then you can already see on the products overview page, we got a nice looking image here. I will do the same for the other products. So we have some colors in our web shop. There we go. We can also improve this a bit by changing the Tailwind CSS classes on the image. Instead of object cover, we will use here object scale down. There we go. This looks much better. And when we click into the product, this looks also all right. Perfect. Now we can go ahead and implement our shopping cart. So how do we implement the shopping cart now? Well, first of all, we have to, like I already said, add the Add to Cart button to the product detail page. For that, let's jump into the code and open up the product detail page. Let's see where we can add the button. I would like to add the button down here. And I would like to put it into a div. And in there, I add the button, which will get the displayed text of Add to Cart. So let's see how this looks now. There we go. We have the button here. At the moment, it looks a bit odd, but we can style this button with Tailwind CSS. For that, we will add a padding X of 6, a padding Y of 2, a background color of blue 500. The text should be white. The button should be rounded large, like that. The font should be semi-bold. We add some shadow to the button. And when we hover over the button, we would like to make the background color a little bit darker. Let's see. Yeah, exactly like that. And if you would like to make the transition of the background colors a little bit smoother, you can add a transition here and a duration for this transition of, let's say, 300. And then you can see when you hover over the button, there's a transition. I don't know if you can see it because it's fast, but if you would increase the duration, for example, to 1000, you would definitely see the transition here. But 300 is enough, and we will leave it like that. Perfect, so we already have the button. What comes next? Well, now we have to add some functionality to the button. So we add the handle add to cart function to our product detail component. We will add this up here, const, then the name of the function, handle add to cart equals braces for parameters, and the arrow, because it's an arrow function. This is our function, and now we can add to the button an on-click handler, where we simply call the handle add to cart function. Now when we click on this button, this function will get executed. Now we actually have to save the product somewhere in a cart variable. And for that, you can probably already anticipate it. we will use a useState variable again. And this we will directly define in the app component, so we can pass and use it in other components as well. Let's define it here, const cart and set cart. And this time it won't be just a string variable. This time it will be of the data type array. And exactly it will be an array of objects. So in here will be objects, and they will contain a product ID, a quantity, and the price. You don't have to code this now. I just want to show you how this will look. And the product ID will be something like 2. And then in this array, we will have many products, and these all will be our cart products. And of course, they all will have different product IDs and different prices. So, but you can delete this for now. We just need to define the useState variable cart, which will have initially an empty array. Now we of course have to pass this useState variable to our product detail page. So down here where we call product detail, we will say cart equals cart, and we will also pass the set cart function. So set cart equals set cart, and in the product detail page, we will access the passed variables, cart and set cart. And now we can use the cart and the set cart function in our product detail page. Lastly, we have to fill the handle add to cart function here. For that, we will first define a new item variable, which will be of type object. So we will use these braces here, and this new object will contain a product ID, and the product ID we will get of product, which we find up here, if you remember. So we have the product here, and from the product we can get the ID. The object will also have a quantity, which will be 1. And the price we can also get from the product object, product.price. And there we go. We have a new item which has the product ID, the product price, and the quantity of 1. Now we will define how the new cart looks. And the new cart will be also an array. And the new cart will contain everything which was already in the cart. And you can do this like this, ... cart, and also the new item. Like that. And then we simply set the useState variable, set cart, to new cart. Let's check if this functions how we want to. We will go on the product detail page and now say add to cart. And to check this, let's console log out here the new cart and open up the console here. Let's see, add to cart. Currently we have 2 items of the same type. This shouldn't be like that, because if we have the same item already in our cart, we would like to increase the quantity instead of adding the product again to the cart. But for now, at least it functions. If we go on another product detail page, we say add to cart, then we have 3 products in our cart. So now we will add the shopping cart icon to the navbar. The icon should provide us 2 functionalities. First of all, it should show us how many items we already have in our cart. It should show us this with a red circle next to the icon with a small number of how many products we already have in the cart. Secondly, it should navigate us to a cart page when we click on the icon. So let's jump right into the code of the navbar and see where we can add the icon. But before we start, we have to install a new library to add icons to our app. So let's close the app with Ctrl and C, clear the console, and npm install react-icons. This app provides you with a lot of icons which you can look up in Google if you just type in React-icons. And here are all the icons which you can use with the library. For example, we now would like to add a shopping cart. So I just type in shopping cart in here. And there we go. We have tons of icons which look like a shopping cart, which we can add to our app. I, for example, always use this icon here. You can just click on it and it shows you how to use it. So copy this one here, or just remember it, FA shopping cart. Jump into the code and let's say I would like to add the icon down here. So I type in what we saw, FA shopping, and then he already suggests us some icons and I will type in shopping cart. And if I press enter now, during to this suggestion here, he immediately imports the icon from the library. Of course, we have to close this tag here. And then let's see, let's start the app and see what we got. Type in some name here. And there we go. We have a small shopping cart here in the right corner. Okay, let's move this side by side. Now I would like to style the icon a little bit, make it a little bit bigger and add the red circle with the number of how many items we already have in the cart. So for that, first of all, I would add a class name and use Tailwind CSS to make the icon a little bit bigger. Okay, that's maybe a little bit too big. Let's take 3XL and then also add a margin right of maybe 4 or 2 to give a little bit of space to the right side. Okay, and then let's add a card for the small number. Let's put in here 12 at first. Add the class name to the span and make it absolute, so the position of the number is absolute. Make the background red 500. The text should stay white. The background should be rounded full. We give it a padding of 1. The text should be small. We give it a width and height of 6. And we add the flex and item center. So the number is right in the middle of the circle. And now you can see the number is on the left side of the navbar. We would like to show it in the right corner of the shopping cart icon. So how do we do this? You can use the attributes top and then you have to experiment a little bit. Use top 0, see what's happening. Okay, this is maybe even already the right height. And then you can also use right. Use right 0, see what's happening. Okay, use right 1, right 2, right 3 maybe. Then I would like to lower it, the number a little bit. Oh, that's perfect. Like that. And now we have the perfect position for it. Let's see it in full screen. Yeah, that looks great. I would even like it to be a little more left, so I will increase the margin right of 2 to margin right 4. And then we have to reposition the icon a little bit. Like that. Perfect. This looks great. And now instead of just showing the static value of 2, we would like to actually show the number of products which are in the cart. Currently we have no access to the cart object from the navbar, so we have to pass the cart object to the navbar. So let's jump into the app component and take the cart and pass it to the navbar. Let's see, here's the navbar. Cart equals cart, like that. Then accept the cart here in the navbar. There we go. Now we have the cart here and now we can show cart length maybe. Yeah, exactly like that. Now we have a 0 here, and if I would go into one product and click add to cart, you can see it turns to 1. 2, 3, exactly like we want it. The only thing I don't like now is that the number is not right in the middle of the red circle. So we will also add a justify center here. There we go, that's perfect. And we could also, if you want, make the font semi-bold, so the number gets a little bit bigger. Perfect. In the next lecture, I will show you how to make the icon clickable and redirect you to a cart page. So we will create a new cart page and make the icon clickable. So now we will come to the last section of implementing the shopping cart. In this last section, we would like to create the cart page. So firstly, we will create the cart page. Then we will create a link to the cart page. So the cart page will be accessible via the /cart subdomain. Then we will make the icon in the navbar clickable. So the icon redirects us directly to the cart page. Then we will go ahead and list all products which are currently in our cart on the cart page. And last but not least, we will add functionality to the cart page, increase, decrease the quantity, and delete the product from the cart. So let's jump into the code and see where we can start. We first create a new page here under the pages folder, new file, and we will call it cart page, or maybe just cart.jsx, then RAFCE, and you get the snippet. And now we can already jump to the second step and create the link to the cart page. So let's go into the app component, and down here where our routes are, which path will be /cart. And when we enter this page, the cart page should be shown. Don't forget to implement this here so it gets imported. And let's see, let's start the server. If you haven't started the server yet, you can do this by npm start, like usual. Type in some name here. And let's move to the /cart page. Okay. There we go. We are on the cart page, exactly like we wanted to. Let's move to the third step, make the icon in the navbar clickable and redirect to the cart page. For that, let's jump into the navbar and see where the icon is, right here. And we can simply wrap this icon into a link tag, which will get an attribute of to /cart. Close the link tag and that's it. Let's go to the home page. We are on the home page. And when we click on the shopping cart icon, we are on the cart page. Perfect. Now what I don't like is every time I click on home, we have to submit a new name. That is because all these links here in the navbar are still in an A tag. We will instead replace these A tags with link tags also and replace these href attributes with to attributes. Like that. And now when we type in the name and navigate between the pages, we don't have to resubmit the name again. Perfect. The next step is to list all our products which are currently in the cart on the cart page. For that, let's jump into the cart component. And here we can show all products. For that, we first have to know which products are in the cart. So we need the useState variable where we saved our carts. This useState variable is in our app component here. So we have to pass it to the cart component. You already know how to do this. Cart equals cart. And yeah, we can also already pass the set cart functionality, because later on we want to add functionality and alter the card. So let's go back into the card component and access both the card and the set card functionality. And now let's list all products on the card page. Remember, we already did something like that in the product overview component. So we can jump in there and basically copy the whole functionality. So I will copy all of the product overview page, paste it into the card page. I will just add an H1 tag where I will say card. And instead of mapping through products here, we will map through the card. And each card will have an item, or it can also be named product. It's not a problem. So there we go. We already see the product in our card, but we only see the price of the product and no additional information. Even though we try to show a product name, a product description, etc. here. Maybe you can already imagine why that is. If you remember, in the product detail page, in the handle add to cart button, so when we add the product to our cart, we only save the product ID, the quantity, and the price here. That's why we can see the price, but no other information. So we could, of course, add all the other information here and save it also in the cart, like picture, product.picture. We could do this, of course, but there's also another better approach. So we only save the product ID, the price, and the quantity. We need additional information like the product picture. And like I said, we could save it all in the cart, but this would be redundant. We would save the same information about the product over and over again. So what we will do instead is we will access the data from the place we have it from. In our case, this is the mock data file. And then we will go ahead and search in the mock data file for the product ID and access all the different information when we need it. And right now we need the additional information in our cart. So when we open the cart page, we want to access this information from the mock data. How do we perform an action when we enter the page for the first time? Well, for that there's another hook. I already showed you use state. This is the use state hook. And now I will show you the use effect hook. The use effect hook provides you with a function which gets executed every time the page renders or a component renders. So when you enter the page, the component renders for the first time and you can execute something in a function. So let me show you this. Right here above the return, we will add the use effect. And then you will already get suggested a use effect snippet. You can remove this return in here. You can only remove this first, and you can remove this third. I will explain it to you later, but basically this is the structure of a basic use effect hook. Everything in here will execute every time the component / page re-renders. Okay, so you can add anything you want here. For example, we can simply add a console log in here and say the page re-rendered, like that. And now when we are on the page and open the console here and reload the page, you can see the page re-rendered. Now you can see that the use effect function fired twice. This is because we are in development mode. Later on, or indeed I can show you right now how to switch from development mode to like production mode, you can simply go into the index.js file, and here you simply have to remove this React strict mode wrapper. Just remove it like that, and then you can see that the use effect hook only fired once. Okay, let's go back here. Now you know how the use effect hook functions. I only want to mention one thing here. Instead of just leaving these brackets here empty, you can also add a use state variable here, like card, for example. Then the use effect hook will only get fired when the card state updates. I just wanted to mention this here. Later on, we will surely use this, but for now, we only use the empty brackets to fire the use effect hook every time the whole page re-renders. Now we can continue by accessing the product data from the mock data. Now we can continue by accessing the additional information of the products from the mock data. So what we will do in this use effect hook here is we first of all will map through all card products. So for each card product, card.map, or we will call it card product, we will execute something. For each card product, we will search for the actual product, I will call it here, in the mock data. Wait, I think we called it products. Yes, that's it, products from the mock data. And we import it here. I will here call it mock data, so we don't get confused by all the product variable names. In the mock data, we will search for a product P with the product ID of the same as the current card product.product ID, like that. So in the use effect now, we would like to iterate over all card products. So we will do card.map, and for each card product, we want to execute something. For each card product, we would like to retrieve or find the actual product. That's how I will call this here. And this actual product we will find in the mock data. So we have to import the products from the mock data. Now in this card page, I will call the mock data, so we don't get confused by all the product variable names. So in the mock data, I will try to find a product P, which has the product.id, same or equal the product ID of the card product. So card product.product ID. And if this is the same, here we have our actual product found. Now, let's simply console log this out on the console. So let's see what we got. We will enter our name here. We will go on the home page and put some product in our cart. Then let's go on the cart page. And here you can immediately see when we enter the page, the use effect hook got triggered and we found the actual product here with all additional information, including the image URL. So now we also want to actually show the additional information on the cart page. And for that, we, instead of showing the products of the cart here, we have to show the actual product. Or if we have multiple products in our cart, we want to map through the actual products. So, or if we have multiple products in our cart, we want to show all actual products. So what we will do is we will create a new useState variable. useState. Oh, no, that's wrong. We will create a new useState variable, which we will call actual products and set actual products. And initially they will be empty. But when we map through the cart and found an actual product, we will, instead of log it out on the console, we will say new state equals dot actual products. So all products, so everything which is currently in the actual products array, and the new actual product, like that. I hope that doesn't confuses you, but basically we simply create a new array, which is new state, with all the products which were already in the actual products array. And then we add the actual product which we find right now. And then we will set the actual product state to the new state, like that. So in the use effect hook, we will create a new array, which will be new state and initially empty. And after the map function is done, we will set the new actual products to the new state. And if we found nothing, the new state will also be empty. But if we found actual products, then we will always add to the new state. So push the actual product. Or we can also call it found product so we don't get confused. So we found the product, added to the new state, and after we are done with the map function, we will add the new state to the actual products state here. And then instead of mapping through the cart products, which have less information, we will instead map through the actual product state, which have the additional information. So use state is undefined. We will import this here from React. And then you can reload the page, type in your name. And let's see, let's go to the home page, add something to our cart, go into the cart, and now you can see we have all information accessible here. On the right in the console, you can see each child in a list should have a unique key prop. I can right away show you how to solve this. This error always happens when you map through an array and render some element. You simply have to add a key attribute which you can fill with any unique value. So, we already have done it here. So you can basically simply copy that and insert it here. And when you now reload the page, the error shouldn't occur anymore. Yeah, perfect. Let's go on the home page again. Okay, on the product overview page, we have the same problem. But let's check if we solved the problem for the cart. Yeah, that's solved. And on the products overview page, we have the same problem. We can copy the key from the div and always put it into the highest element or the first element in the map function. Product.id, like that. And now the error doesn't occur anymore anywhere. Perfect. So let's open up the cart page and see where we can add the functionality. First of all, I would like to show the user how many pieces of each product he has in the cart. So on each product in the cart, I also want to show the quantity. For that, right under the price div, I will add another div which will have a span element where I will say quantity colon product.quantity, like that. And then we can already see the quantity. I want it to be aligned in the center here. So on the div, I will add the class name and say flex and justify center. There we go. And now on the left, I want a minus button, and on the right, I want a plus button. So I will add the button right here. I will say minus, and this one I will give a class name which will have a background red of 200, a rounded large, and a padding of 2, like that. And to the div, we will give a gap of 2, so we have some space there. And then we can copy the button and paste one under the span, so it will be on the right side. And this we will change to a plus icon, and instead of red, we can use green here. There we go. Then to the div, we will also add a item center. Perfect. So now when we click on one of these buttons, we get redirected to the product details page. This we don't want. Instead, we only want to get redirected to the products detail page when we actually click on the picture. So we will wrap only the image around the link tag. Like that. And now when you click on one of these buttons, nothing happens so far, but you also don't get redirected to the products detail page, only when you click on the image. Okay, you also have to move up this key tag here, this key attribute, to the div, because this key attribute under a map function always has to be at the top level element. Otherwise, you would get this console log error again. Okay, perfect. Now we just have to add some on-click handlers to the buttons. So we will go to the button and say on-click. And we will call, let's say, handle quantity decrease. And we will pass the product.id to the function. And also on the increase button, we will call a handle quantity increase function, where we will also pass the product ID. Great. Now we can add the functions up here. Handle quantity decrease gets a product ID passed. And in here, we will actually create a new const, which we will call new cart. And this new cart gets filled with the current cart. And we will map through the current cart. So through all cart products P. And when we find the cart product with the product ID, which equals product ID, so the product ID which we get passed should match the current product. And if this is the case, then we want to change the quantity of the product. So we take the product P, but we change the quantity to the current quantity -1. And if this shouldn't be the case, so it isn't the product we are searching for, then we will just return the product P. It will stay how it is. So he maps through the old cart, through each product. And if he finds the product which matches our product ID, then we change the quantity -1. Otherwise, the product will stay how it is and just gets added to the new cart, how it was before. And if we got this, we can set cart to the new cart. The same we will do for the increase function, handle quantity increase, but here we will increase the quantity. Exactly like this. When we now click on one of the buttons, still nothing happens because what we do, we change the cart. And we do this correctly, but we don't show the cart, we show actual products. So we technically would have to set the actual products again. We can simply do this by adding cart into these brackets on the use effect function here. Now, whenever the cart state changes, the use effect hook gets triggered and the actual products also get set anew. And then the new actual products get rendered. So now when we click here something, we can see that the quantity changes. Perfect. In the next lecture, we will add the remove button. For the remove button, we will also go down here and add another button, which we will call remove. There we go. But this shouldn't be next to the plus icon. It should be below the quantity. So we will move this out of the div. There we go. And we will actually wrap another div around it. So we can also center it. The div, we will add a class name of flex and also justify center. There we go. And to the button, we will add a BG gray of, let's say, 400. No, I actually want to add a text gray 400, not the background. Perfect. That looks good. And now when we click on it, nothing happens. But when we add our onClick handler, which we will call handle remove product, where we will also pass the product.id. And we create this handler up here, handle remove product, which takes a product ID. There we go. And now we will also create the new cart. But this time we will filter something out of the cart. And we will filter out the product with the product ID, which doesn't equals the product ID. Does this make sense? Let me think. Yeah, exactly. So we will take all products which doesn't equal the current product ID. And then we can set the new cart like that. And now when we click on remove, you see our product gets removed. Let's add 2 items to the cart to test this out. Okay, now I will remove the camera, move, and now we only got the sports watch. Perfect. Congratulations, you successfully completed the course. Now let's recap what you just learned. You learned how to install and use Tailwind CSS. You learned how to use your state variables, and you also learned how to leverage ChatGPT for your development workflow. You then learned how to create different components and along with that how to create modal dialogues, which is always a good feature to integrate into your page. For example, maybe you want to build the login register system and along with that want to integrate a modal dialog. Now you can actually do this. You learned how to create multiple pages and created a routing system to navigate across the pages. You then learned how to use your state variables globally and pass the variables across different components and pages. And last but not least, you learned how to use the use effect hook. So you can run a piece of code whenever a state variable changes or the user initially enters a page. With all that, you learned the foundation to create almost any web page. I hope you enjoyed the course and learned a ton from it. I would be happy for any feedback, may it be positive or negative. But please don't be too harsh with your critics on me, since this is the first course I ever created. Again, thanks for your participation in this course, and I wish you much fun and success with your further learning process.